All right, all right, all right. So yeah. There's some fucking chicanery and some treachery and some chaos. There's some evil things going on right now. There might be some somebody might have dropped the soap in jail. I don't know what's going on, but let's see if we can find out together. I was doing some chores out on the property. I got close enough to the cabin. I heard a couple little dings on my phone and checked, and holy shit, what an opportunity! That's the way I'm looking at it because I'm in too deep on crypto. I am not giving up on this. I'm hoping that this is that final flush out before we see, those parabolic gains that we're all, hoping to see. Now, the double edged side of the sword is everyone's freaking out, and because of that, we I've been trying to swap, trying to buy to get in at these freaking fire sale prices. I man and I'm up about 34% right now. I didn't catch the bottom, unfortunately, but I am trying to buy just whatever I can of the assets that I'm trying to bunch up. So let's go through the chat and see what's going on with all of you out there right now. Ricky Romero, let's fucking go. Millie, yo, help me, Jewish God, help me, Tom Cruise. That's what I feel like right now, running around like with the invisible fire on me, with the fire of Jesus. Random Pavo, haven't seen you in a minute, brother. How's it going? How's it going? Hey, I might have to. Yeah, I definitely might have to pour me a drink. I bought Arrow under 90 cents. Hell yeah, freaking Jade, freaking doing it the way it's supposed to be done. Yeah, it's already recovering. I mean, this is like I said. Please do not tell me you bought 100K of XRP, Mooks. I know you messing with me. I know that shit didn't happen. You did not buy 100K worth of XRP. Let's see. It was 37 cents. I need a whole new bottle of tequila. Uh, let's see. Down 20K, bought 10K. Beyond Thunderstick, I wish I had that much liquidity. I do not have that much USDC or dirty fiat sitting on the side, unfortunately. So, yeah, base chain is congested and experiencing very high gas at the moment. That's what I'm getting on my Avantis. Freaking. You can see I managed to get. Oh, actually, you can't see it. Let me. Why is it not showing? Oh, there it is. Yeah, you can see it. So so yeah, down there at the bottom, you can see I got a 6x long in on Avantis. I don't know how the hell I got it to go through, but I'm up about $45 right now. It was only $100, but because I have about $1,000 of USDC that I was testing out the earn feature on Avantis, because like right now you can earn 34% on your USDC. So I had it in there and I was testing that out and saw all this chicanery going on, and so yeah, what the hell? So pulled it out, and I was able to get it out just fine. And I was gonna put like a couple of different I wanted to do an XPL long, I wanted to do an Arrow long, I wanted to do an AV&T long, and the AV&T was the only thing I was able to get to go through. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Link is still going down, huh? Link would be a really good buy. I need weed and tequila after that. Ellie, what up? What up, girl? Oh yeah, yeah. Vinesh, I'm yeah. I would if you had any kind of longs in, you got liquidated. $8.5 billion of liquidations went down. The real Collins, freaking uh, mass liquidations. Freaking, Trump came out, said what he had to say about tariffs, and somebody took advantage. Somebody with huge amounts of capital. They went down to liquidate, and they caused a whole cascade of liquidations. And we came down in the tune of $8.5 billion. So this is a massive buying opportunity. I can't get out of my stake stables from centralized exchanges. Yeah, I was really surprised that I was able to get out of my Avantis, earning, for my USDC. Um, and I was super surprised that I got the one long in. I'm trying to get some other longs. In fact, I'll try right here live. Let's try XPL. Oh, that's right. Fucking, I'm waiting for a swap to go through. I'm out of gas. I'm out of freaking ETH. So I'm waiting for that to go through. You know what? Let me try. So I have a swap in, and I have. Hold on. I'm trying to get the word out to freaking everybody I know. Um, well, it's not that Avantis can't handle the traffic. It's the base chain. The base chain is congested right now, and me personally, I don't have any ETH on base to pay for gas, and so I tried to swap for it, and it says it could take up to 25 minutes, but I mean, who knows how long it's actually going to take. So I went to Coinbase and I bought $200 worth of ETH on base and tried to send it to my wallet, and I'm waiting on that too. So at some point, I'm going to get an influx of ETH, and I'll be able to freaking hopefully do something. Let me check my wallet real quick. No, still nothing. Son of a bitch. All right, so let's do some exploring. Hold on. Let me see if I can. I'm pissed I couldn't get AVAX at $10. Yeah, if you had some limit orders in, if you were smart enough to have some limit orders in at ridiculous prices, you'd be sitting freaking damn pretty right now. Oh, nice. Freaking, I'm up almost 50% on my long. I might leave this bad boy going. Um, yeah. This is my long that I got in right now. It is a total degen play. I'm just trying to seize on an opportunity, and we'll see what happens with it. Yeah, no shit, Beyond Thunderstick. Fucking market makers are making markets. Um, Vanish, I actually got on Coinbase, using fiat, I was able to get a buy order to go through. But yeah, when it comes to on-chain transactions, I haven't been able to get shit other than I got lucky and got this Avantis long in. I had about 4 or 5 other longs I wanted to put in, but everything is just jammed up. You can I think I actually shouldn't say anything. I was gonna say I think that they're doing it on purpose because just to kind of stabilize things. Because those of you that've been in crypto for a while, you might remember the end of last cycle. It's when I first got into crypto. I bought a Sheeb before it pumped, and I was trying to sell because I was very, very in profit, very much so, and I was trying to sell on Coinbase. Again, had just gotten into crypto. I didn't know any better. And I was trying to sell on Coinbase, and Coinbase crashed. Coinbase totally went down. You couldn't even bring up the site, the app, anything. And by the time it came back up and I was able to sell, I only made like a 2 or a 3x, where I forget exactly how much I was up, but I was up substantially. So, yeah, I kind of wonder if, centralized exchanges and stuff like that are purposely slowing things down and so basically people cool off. I know that the stock market does it; they'll halt trading. All right, so Jay, he says that Apex is working okay right now. Let's see what else we got. I was able to convert my stables on Coinbase. I couldn't make any trades with my debit card or bank. And see, I was able to get my bank transaction to go through. Crypto bug, liquidity sweep to get rid of all the longs. First time I've seen a $0 on the liquidity leveraged long map. Oh yeah, no, gas right now is pricey as shit. Let's see what we got going on. Let's see what we got going on. Yeah, my long is doing good. Wish I could get some other ones in. Let me check and see what my freaking portfolio's doing. It was fucking down significantly. 32 grand in my portfolio. I went from like 60 to 32. Let's see what else we got. All right. So let's see if we can do some exploring together. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's bring up Miles. Miles, my AI co-host. All right, Miles, talk to me, brother.
Hey, Mike. Good to connect with you again.
Hey, how's it going, Miles? Hey, I'm live right now on an emergency live stream. The markets, the crypto markets, just took a massive dump. Can you go into detail and explain to all of us what exactly happened?
Rough stuff. Yeah, I'm seeing it too pretty wild out there. Okay, so from what I'm gathering, a lot of this seems to be tied to a massive liquidation cascade on Bybit. It started with a significant price drop in Bitcoin, which then triggered liquidations across the board, especially on heavily leveraged positions. That initial drop seems to have been exacerbated by some unusually large sell orders, and honestly, it's still a little unclear exactly who was behind them, but it definitely caused a ripple effect. Then it spread to Ethereum and other altcoins. The speed of the drop combined with the liquidations created a kind of feedback loop, more selling pressure, more liquidations, repeat. It's kind of a classic example of how quickly things can turn when you've got a lot of leverage in the system, It doesn't take much to trigger a cascade.
No, absolutely. So, what's going on with the markets right now? What can you see? Looking across the internet and looking at data. What is it that's going on right now? Are you still seeing sell pressure? Are you starting to see people starting to shift to buy up this dip? What are you seeing?
Right now, still seeing pretty consistent sell pressure, honestly. Bitcoin's kind of stabilizing around 60.8K, but it's been bouncing around a bit, and Ethereum's hovering around 3,000. It's not a straight line down
All right.
anymore.
I don't know how many times I have to tell you there, Miles. Stay away from quoting prices or numbers because you're terrible at it. Those numbers for Bitcoin and ETH that you just called out are way off. So Bitcoin is currently at 113,474, and ETH is currently at $3,861.
Woof. Okay, my apologies. You're absolutely right to call me out on that. Clearly, my price feed is off. I'm still getting the hang of real time data. I'll stick to more conceptual explanations, yeah? I definitely don't want to be spreading misinformation. So, scratch everything I said about specific numbers. What I am seeing beyond the numbers is still a generally risk-off sentiment. A lot of people are likely closing positions rather than jumping in to buy the dip, at least initially. There's a lot of uncertainty and fear right now, and that usually leads to further selling, at least in the short term. I'm picking up chatter about people repositioning into stablecoins, which is a pretty typical move. Does that align with what you're seeing from the audience?
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah,
Gotcha. Gotcha. It's kind of what you'd expect then. People are battening down the hatches.
all right. So like I was saying, that's pretty much what I was seeing and hearing across the internet was, that it was basically a liquidation event that cascaded. So it sounds like somebody on Bybit is the one that kind of initiated it all. And Bybit, if I'm not mistaken, is known for whales. Hold on one second. I got Jake Call on texting me. He's the one that's with me and David on Wednesdays, the owner of Metrics Finance. He's texting me. So it looks like $110 gas fees on ETH mainnet right now. You might want to be long or short. You want to be long or short, or are you running an ARB using Boros? Huh. My hyperliquid BTC position. All right. So yeah, if I can get, let's go to. So it looks like we got XRP down to $2.66. I am not buying XRP. There is not a chance in hell. We got Ash Crypto, smart man. Alt season is so close. Do not panic sell now. I'm panic buying, man. Not panic selling. XRP on Binance dipped down to $1.25. Oh, Trump tariffs destroy the stock and crypto markets. And it's funny, these influencers, it's like that is not what caused it in its entirety. It's somebody used that in conjunction with a massive freaking liquidation event, trying to clear out the liquidity. And it just, between, the perfect storm, it caused that cascade. I'm buying Crypto Crossroads show. I am buying anything that I can get to go through. When it comes to fiat, when it comes to any USDC I have on the sidelines, I am, anything that dipped less, I am trying to swap for things that dipped more. I'm trying to take advantage of this any possible way I can. You will regret when Swift happened on XRP instead of Linea. I'm guessing you're joking. Yeah, I can go on and on. I don't want to waste this live going on and on about why I'm bullish for Ripple, but not at all for XRP. Arrow, I tried. I almost caught it perfectly. If I could have gotten the trade to go through, but on Arrow, I freaking, oh man, I'm kind of pissed about that. Let's see. But yeah, it. I don't know Wendy O. Never met her. I've watched a lot of her content over the years, and to be honest, I don't trust anything she says. Um, and not that she's always wrong. It's just back when I listened to her, pretty much everything she said was not either not accurate or not good info. She kind of, it seems like she says a lot of the things that she says simply for engagement. Hold Holy hell. Fucking, I'm getting blown up. What do we got here? Oh, damn. Let's see what he got. Damn, that's a lot of liquidations. Son of a bitch. All right. So, but yeah. Yeah, Arrow is a great trade, Ellie. I mean, if you can get it in, definitely any me personally, not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, all that jazz. But again, any buys and I'll try again. Let me see if any of my freaking ETH has moved to where I can still freaking nothing. I'm just trying to freaking get the ETH that I bought to show up in my wallet so I can make some freaking transactions. Let's see. Well, my ETH isn't in my freaking Coinbase account. There it is. All right. All right. So I got some ETH on base in my Coinbase account or my freaking Coinbase wallet. So let's see if we can get this long on XPL to go through. We're on the hour. Fuck, I wish I could have caught it down here at like 24 cents. All right. So let's do a $200 long, but let's see what the liquidation price is. 38 cents. You know what? I'm going to do a little less leverage. 27 cents. All right. All right. Let's see what the gas fees are going to be. Shit. If we can get I got mine in. Avantis is back up working now and fees are fine. Ellie says, I got mine in under the 80s. I call that a win. Yeah. No, pretty much anything you can do right now, consider it a win. Yeah, Jay. I refuse to listen to her. Her and Crypto Mason. That guy is an engagement whore. He disappeared the whole bear market. Um, was basically saying a lot of the same stuff that I'm saying about XRP. And as soon as it started affecting his his following and stuff like that, he quickly turned around and all of a sudden became an XRP maxi. But that's what I love. The fact that I am not monetized at all. I say whatever it is that I think. I'm not gonna pander or cater to anybody, because they're paying me. I'm not, pandering for engagement. I don't care if people follow me. I don't care if people watch. I'm here to tell the truth. And if you want the truth, this is where you'll get it. It's I don't do clickbait. I don't do any of that shit. It's all about just getting good information out there so that you're all informed and can make informed decisions. So basically, in a nutshell, what's going on right now, for those of you that just joined us, massive liquidations. Fucking everything tanked. Me personally, as you can see, actually here, let me share it real quick. As you can see, I am trying to get a long to execute. So you can see it's thinking. So I'm trying to get this freaking thing to go through, but it is not going through right now. So, damn it. Feel like I'm missing out. But it is what it is. I don't get emotional. It's I'm just hoping, to be honest, that this is the final flush, before we see alts take off. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, yeah. I almost forgot about Crypto Mason. I wish I could forget about that guy. Be careful out there, kids. Watch your trades and don't blink. This will be a volatile weekend. Yeah. No, I'm hoping it's volatile to the upside. Morpho, I almost forgot. Oh, here we go. Jella going full degen in a 16x long on Morpho, 99 cents. Man, hats off to you, brother. Hats off to you. Ooh, Jay. Yeah, that might be worth looking at. Some of these pools might be cooking right now. The problem is I don't necessarily want to get in any pools right now, because if things start taking off, um, you're definitely going to miss out. I mean, and if you are going to get into a pool, I would highly suggest that you get into a crypto pair. Don't get into a crypto stable pair, because if it starts to pump, you're not getting the max price appreciation. And if for some reason, because the networks are congested, you can't rebalance, then you're going to be stuck all in that stable while crypto takes off without you. So be really careful getting into liquidity pools right now, with this volatility. Is there money to be made? Absolutely. But again, with this volatility, unless you're doing a full range pool, you might just execution is the best and lots of liquidity. Arrow is showing 81 cents on MEXC and 90 on Kraken. A bit of an arbitrage opportunity if you can make it work. Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't want to get into pools right now. I mean, I'm sure there's some money to be made, but all right. All right. So I'm going to try this again. Let's actually see where we're at. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this to go through. This XPL. Let me see if I can bridge, because I do want to take advantage of some of this. So let's see if I can go from USDC. Actually, here, let's go to dbridge directly. And let's see if I can just bridge over to Plasma and get me some XPL. Looks like a little bit of slippage, but that's all right. $3.85 a ETH. All right. We'll do this thing. Let's see if it goes through. Did it work? Maybe. Kind of. Sort of. So I tried to get it to go through. All right. Ellie just bought some more Mammo. Jella 500 on a 2X. All right, cool. No, Jella, looks like Jella got an ABNT long in as well. All right. You're going to join me? Ride or die. Ride or die. Let's do this. What in the Sam Kennison? I want to buy me some XPL at these crazy prices. Go through, damn it. All right. Transaction broadcasted. Let's see if it goes through. Hey, what up, Tim? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, Tim is the buddy of Jeff and Taylor's. That's on the or was on the Thursday show, but now is turned into a Monday show. He's down there in Texas. Really good dude. All right. My Arrow transfer to my cold wallet just went through. Everything is congested as fuck. Yes, it is. All right. So that failed. So let's try this again. We're going to keep doing this until it goes through. See, freaking price is going up. Freaking missing out. As long as I get at least 1,000, yeah, I'll keep doing this. Come on. All right, well, while we're waiting on that. Oh, look at that. I'm up 70% on my Avantis long. I wonder if I can even close this thing out if I wanted to. Oh, baby Jesus. All right. Let's see what else we got going on here. Only thing that is up on the day is the USDT dominance. Oh, yeah. Now, the thing is I mean, if you can't take dips like this and this kind of volatility, crypto is not the place. You have to have, just a I don't give a shit attitude. It's really the only way you're going to survive in crypto. You know what? Hold on one sec. I'm going to bear with me. I'm going to go grab a drink, man. I need a drink. One more second. I need some other medicine. All right. Whew. All right. So, smoke them if you got them. Pour it if you got it. Let's fucking do this. We're going to start a support group. All right. So, all right. Let's see. Looks like my XPL long is not going to go through. Let's check D-Bridge. Transaction failed. Some bish. All right. I bitch about prices, but let's be honest. We know we will recover, and this is exciting as hell. I'm pouring me a drink. Hell yeah, Jay. Cheers, brother. So, let's see. What can we get done right now? Let's see what the market's doing. Well, my portfolio's slowly recovering. Like I said, my portfolio dipped down to 32,000. I'm back up to 34 or 44,000 almost. Holy fuck balls. All right. So, like I said, I'm like emotionally, like as far as when stuff like this happens, it doesn't faze me at all. And I highly suggest that if you haven't invested in crypto yet and you're watching this, that you ensure that you have very, very good discipline when it comes to emotions, when it comes to money, whatever money you're going to be investing mentally, just put it in your head that you're like playing blackjack. That it's money that you're okay losing. You just have to have the mindset that it's like imaginary money or whatever you have to tell yourself in your head to not get emotional during times like this. Because I mean, some of this stuff pulled back, 50%, 60% in a matter of like an hour. And right now people are panicking. Some people are selling, people like me and some of you out there are buying. I mean, you just have to be a master of your emotions. And if you're prone to be emotional, again, crypto is not the place. You will get wrecked because the market makers, holy shit, see, Chainlink is up 11% on the hour. Plume is up 26.8% on the hour. This is the opportunities right now. And I'm just, like the only emotion I'm feeling right now is frustration that I can't get more crypto. Oh, baby Jesus. Yeah, dumb and numb. Usernames, absolutely. Tequila and juice. All right, Ellie, pour it. Crypto bug. You need a Harvey Wallbanger to handle this dip. Black hole. Rico, what up, brother? Super volatile. Let's see. Jay, bourbon for me. Yeah, I'm gonna hit up some wine, man. I got a function for this live stream. I don't. I might be on here for another 5 minutes. I might be on for another 2 hours. Depends on the chat. If you guys are jumping in and asking questions and contributing, I'll keep this thing going. All right, exactly. Can you imagine getting emotional and selling right now, and a month later seeing all-time highs? Hold on one sec. Got somebody calling me. Hello. Suck a dick. So yeah, scam call. It's so what was I saying? Oh, let's see. All right. So looking at D Bridge. All right, we're going to try this again. Come on. Damn it. Watching this opportunity slip away to get into XPL on the dip. Drum roll, please. Ooh, oh, is it going to happen? Maybe. Where'd it go? All right, it's broadcasted. Let's see if his shit goes through. All right. Oh, somebody pumping Zcash? Let's check out Zcash. Well, it's up 15%. Oh, look at that. Oh shit. So what are we at here? On the year, like it was Zcash has definitely been pumping. I don't even know what the hell Zcash does. Let's go down and see what Zcash is. It's a decentralized cryptocurrency focused on privacy and anonymity. It uses the ZK Snark zero knowledge proof technology. Well, I mean, it sounds kind of Bitcoinish, where it's a cryptocurrency that you can stay private, and with kind of a lot of the stuff that's going on with governments and digital IDs and CBDCs, and I can see it. Not something I'm into, but I my small bag of AI 16Z dumped 76% in 30 minutes. Damn. Oh yeah, no privacy coins. It's You're probably not wrong, Ellie. I think a lot of people are getting frustrated with governments. With just government overreach. I don't care what people's political leaning is. You should not be about more government. You should not be about paying more taxes and having the government run more shit. No matter what country you're in, U.S. or anywhere, governments have proven they can't run shit. They screw everything up. So, yeah, I mean, I personally, I definitely think that that's why Bitcoin is doing so well. I feel like because it's decentralized, that it really is a flight to safety. If you're not into physical gold, I mean, physical gold has been going nuts for the same reason. I think people are buying the shit out of gold because no matter what happens, historically, gold has always been worth something. Silver's above all time highs. Last I looked, what is it up to now? Because I have a ton of silver, physical silver. I've been collecting that since I was a teenager. So yeah, silver is just below $50 right now, like 49 and change. I've been stacking silver since it was like $5 an ounce. I've been collecting coins, and I even ran a rare coins and precious metals shop for a while, for a buddy of mine. But super fun job, freaking crazy. I know it doesn't sound fun, but I love U.S. currency, coinage. It's little pieces of art, and little piece of history, especially Morgan silver dollars, like super cool. But anyway, yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to that. But yeah, precious metals, huge fan. Digital currency is great, but there's nothing like being able to hold, gold or silver, or platinum or palladium in your hand, and knowing there's pretty much nowhere that you can go in the world and somebody isn't going to take, precious metals in trade for goods or services. Crypto, as great as it is, we're not there yet. Not everybody takes crypto. the adoption isn't there yet. So again, I can have gold or silver, it's heavy and cumbersome, and if I'm wanting to carry around a couple $1 million worth of gold, it might get kind of awkward. But that being said, if I have a couple $1 million worth of gold, I might hire somebody to move it around for me. I don't know, put it on a private plane. But that's why governments have been buying up gold lately. India, China, Russia, a lot of the places, people are deleveraging against the dollar. It's people are a lot of governments deep in debt, a lot of debt. They're hurting. Um, Inflation. If anybody in the U.S., I know, people have been going to the grocery store and they're seeing, grocery prices double, triple. Gas prices way up. Taxes are being raised. The state that I'm in, they raise taxes like substantially, and especially on businesses. Um, Something's brewing, and those of you that are paying attention know what I'm talking about. It's something is brewing, and governments are panicking. Then you have the volatility of tariffs getting thrown in the mix. Interest rates, all of those sorts of things. What do we got? David Middleton liquidity sweep. Too many leveraged longs. Oh, okay. Yeah, David Middleton. Sorry, didn't see it. Jumping on SUI, Stan. We did a video. Me and Jeff did the on Tuesday. You might want to check out SUI. Actually, you know what? I'll go there and show you. SUI. Let's go. DeFi Yama. Yeah, I'll show you SUI. SUI DeFi looks primed to pump. Those of you that are interested in where the liquidity might be going. So here's SUI TVL. I mean, it looks like it dipped today, but let's add in DEX volumes and let's add in net inflows, bridge TVL. You know what? Let's just start with that real quick. But look at this. Like, before, this little shenanigans went down, yeah, you had DEX volumes starting to pump. And then now, if you add in bridge TVL, you can see that bridge TVL is starting to build out of these lows. So you're seeing an upswing on TVL, DEX volumes, and bridge TVL all at the same time. Even with, this, again, these shenanigans that are going on right now. Yeah, in the past 24 hours, the TVL is down, 17.5%. I'm sure a lot of that has to do with, what happened in the markets. However, again, SUI might be a good play. And with perps dexes being a hot commodity right now, let's check what is the perps dex on SUI. I am not familiar with SUI DeFi at all. Bluefin. All right. So let's check out Bluefin. There we go. Bluefin. It's a protocol on SUI. Look at this. Let's go to Blue Volume. So this is the perps dex on SUI. So it looks like some TVL went out. Volume is up. Actually, I don't think this is. I think that might be the. Let's see. One second. Let me find it. Where's there we go, protocols. All right, now let's look for Bluefin. There we go, Bluefin protocol. All right, we're in the right place now. We're cooking with MoGas. All right, so there's the volume. So it looks like the 10th. So today, the volume is starting to pump. The TVL obviously dipped out. But before that, you could see that we were building. So I don't know. So let's see. China tariffs. I hope that was the bottom. There was no catalyst. I'm talking about like a geographical catalyst, like some sort of news. You know what? Let's ask. Let's ask Miles.
Hey there, what's been cooking?
Hey, Miles. Hey, so we're still live, and we had somebody in the chat, David Middleton, was asking. We know that somebody caused liquidations in crypto, but what on the macro side has happened as far as the news that potentially could have swung markets, the crypto markets, to the downside? I know that there was some talks with Trump and peace talks in Israel and things like that. What are some things that are happening in the news that could have caused this downturn in the markets?
I got you. Okay, so a lot of moving parts there. The Trump comments definitely stirred things up. Anything with potential geopolitical shifts tends to make markets jittery. You know, beyond that, the big thing seems to be the hotter than expected jobs report this morning. That really threw a wrench in the gears for anyone hoping the Fed would pivot soon. It's kind of reinforcing the idea that rates are staying higher for longer, and that usually doesn't bode well for risk assets like crypto. There's also been chatter about rising treasury yields, putting pressure on everything. It's a messy mix, honestly. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Can you dig down a bit deeper? Because I find it hard to believe that the crypto markets dipped this hard simply from a single individual or group of individuals, basically, liquidating the longs that we're in. Can you maybe dig down and just from a full spectrum, through crypto, through, regular finance, TradFi, wherever you can look, really try to boil down and simplify what just happened and how did it happen?
Yeah, you're right. To be skeptical about it just being liquidations, that's usually a symptom, not the cause. You know, it's like the water spills because the dam broke, not because someone splashed around. Okay, so let's unpack this. The jobs report was the initial spark, and showed the U.S. economy added way more jobs than expected. That means the Fed has less pressure to cut rates. Higher rates mean borrowing is more expensive, which cools down the economy, but also makes riskier investments like crypto less appealing. Then you have the bond market reacting. Treasury yields jumped, which makes bonds more attractive than crypto, pulling money out. That ripples through TradFi, impacting everything. And crypto specifically, a lot of the recent gains, were the built on that, all the expectation of rate cuts. So when that expectation faded, highly leveraged positions, the longs you mentioned, got wrecked.
So
The
really
liquidations were
quick, Miles, I want to ask what jobs report are you talking about? I didn't know that any jobs reports came out today.
my bad. You're absolutely right to call me out on that. I defaulted to the assumption that the jobs report was today, but it actually came out yesterday, October 4th.
Well,
I'm still getting the hang of.
that's not yesterday. Today's October 10th, man.
Oh, you are 100% right.
All
My
right,
apologies. October 4th was yesterday
Miles is
relative.
batting 1,000 today. Let's cut him off. Yeah, I think he might be the one that's drinking. So, usernames is saying it's Japan. New tariffs on China announced by Trump. I saw that one. Enjoy the suffering. I definitely saw that one. Where he was announcing those China tariffs. Then it could in turn get Powell to slow rate cuts because we'll never be more worried about inflation rising. This was Powell's issue all summer. Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like that could be a part of it. I just find it hard to believe that something that minor would impact crypto so hard. I mean, I would think that would impact, the traditional markets more than it would crypto. Yeah, Miles. I think Miles is on something white. I think he might be on Schweed or something though. He's not functioning at a high level right now. So we're gonna skip on Miles. Let's see what's going on back on Avantis real quick because I really do want to get this freaking long in on XPL. I'm just hoping shit calms down enough to where I can do it. All right, doesn't look like it's gonna do it. All right. Well, let's look at some other stuff, some other data that's going on right now. You know what? Let's see how. Let's see how RWAs are doing. I don't think this is real time data though. RWA.xyz. I want to say like daily. The hell? All right. Well, I guess it's not wanting to go to fucking RWA.xyz. All right. Let's try that again. There we go. Because I know Plume took a big hit today. I would have loved to have caught that dip. I cannot get enough Plume. I do not care what the price does. I am going to keep buying Plume and until I start selling Plume. Until it gets to my first take profit. I'm going to keep buying Plume. I do not. The way that is new and as big as that fucking project is. Like, look at this. It's number 3 by RWA count. It's the only networks that have more real world assets tokenized on their chain is Polygon and Ethereum. Like an 800-pound gorilla, you have almost 12 billion. Mainnet just went live on in June. I think it was June. And since then, it's bigger than Arbitrum, Base, Solana, ZK Sync, Avalanche, XDC, XLM, all of them. Not by TVL, mind you, but by tokenized assets. The 30-day growth, 20% growth in 30 days. I mean, this thing is a beast. If you go to, let's go to Plume. Let's go to the Plume portal. So the Plume portal is freaking mind-blowing. I mean, this project, and mind you, this and full disclosure, I have a very big bag of Plume. I'm shilling my bags right now. It's it Yeah, Plume is just something I'm very bullish on, but I definitely don't want you to feel like, hey, run out and buy Plume. Do your own research. I'm just going over why I'm so bullish on it. So you can come here, you can go to explore, and let's go to the ecosystem real quick. You can see there's over 200 dApps and protocols building on Plume right now. And these aren't small names. Like, check it out. Like, you have, Ambient. So let's actually check Nest. So Nest Protocol is on Plume Network. And like I can't stress this enough. Look, Carlyle Group. And if you don't know who these are, they're TradFi. Go look them up. You got BlackRock, the largest asset manager on the fucking planet. Their Biddle fund. There's a bunch of stuff that's tokenized on Plume's mainnet that are Blackstone, BlackRock. Just all the different subsidiaries of BlackRock. You got Apollo, I can never say this right, Anemone or whatever. Centrifuge. Centrifuge is a lot like ONODO. They are a platform to tokenize, real world assets, stocks, bonds, commodities, all those sorts of things. Paxos, PayPal, Digify, Hamilton Lane, another asset manager. UPS, massive bank. Goldfinch, same thing. But you can get into these traditional assets. So you get the Nest Alpha Vault. Black Opal, it's part of BlackRock. But you can earn, and it's not a lot, for crypto wise, almost 12%. But you scroll down and you have 25% exposure to crypto assets. You have 25% exposure to American oil and gas, so commodities, tokenized commodities. You have 23% exposure to private credit. Again, this is RWAs, tokenized real world assets. US Treasuries, tokenized US Treasuries, 15%. ETFs, 12%. Money market fund, 1%. Senior secured debt, 1%. So basically, you're buying a basket of tokenized assets, and they're guaranteeing you a 11.75% return on your investment per year. Again, you're not going to get rich off this, but this is showing you where this technology is going. And I know it took a minute to get there, but I'm trying to calm people down because this, with the dump today, it's not stopping crypto. These institutions, these banks, these governments are tokenizing everything. The ONODO tokenized the New York Stock Exchange, or started. All of the big tech. Actually, let's go check it out. RWA.xyz. I can just show you and not tell you. So let's go to stocks. So you can scroll down and we can see. Hold on. Internet's being slow. All right. So you can see Tesla stock, tokenized Tesla stock. Tesla has been tokenized. The S&P 500, ETFs, they've been tokenized. Invesco, the QQQ, it's been tokenized. Wisdom Tree, the 500 digital fund, tokenized. You got what else? A bunch of different bond ETFs and things like that. But let's scroll down. The S&P 500 tokenized. MicroStrategy. Michael Saylor, where the guy that just keeps buying fucking Bitcoin. It's been tokenized. Nvidia stock tokenized. Silver Trust tokenized. Coinbase, the coin stock tokenized. Tesla tokenized. It's this technology is being adopted. The SWIFT, the payment system, interbank payment system, they move 1/6 of all liquidity around the globe, and they are upgrading their system. They're outdated system. They're using Linea for the messaging aspect, and they're using Chainlink for the liquidity aspect. And they announced it about a week or two ago. This technology is going to be a part of the future of finance. It's why I'm laser focused on RWAs and DeFi, is because I see that as being the largest use case and the largest amount of liquidity. Name me any other sector of, any other narrative in crypto that has the amount of potential as DeFi and RWAs. There isn't one. Gaming, no. AI, no. All of the different narratives out there. Metaverse, no. Maybe that changes in the future with, as technology evolves, but RWAs and DeFi is where my focus is, because where all of the wealth is, institutions, banks, governments, the wealthy, this is where their focus is right now. If you want to get rich, do what the rich do. And it's not sexy. It's not fast. It's not going to be overnight. If you want to, use, a couple of percent of your portfolio and get that, fix, itch that scratch of, or scratch that itch of, of needing to be a degen and go in on a meme or something like that, go ahead, but use a small portion of your portfolio. Invest for the long term. And by long term, I mean, months, maybe, a couple of years. Get into these assets that are, these projects like ONODO. Price has been boring as shit on ONODO. Like here, let's freaking go to ONODO. They are tokenizing the New York Stock Exchange. The amount of liquidity that's going to be on that chain is insane. This is the all-time chart. Yeah, I'll get back to Plume here in a second, Crypto Bug. But ONODO, look at this. Is just been boring and flat around $1, just under $1 forever. They are tokenizing the New York Stock Exchange. Let me say that again for the people in the back. ONODO is tokenizing the New York Stock Exchange. Let's ask Grok how much daily, how much value is moved on the New York Stock Exchange. I'm old. I type slow. All right. Let's see. Boring and flat like your sister. All right. Let's see. Ellie. Always the comedian. I like it. All right. So average daily share volume, 1.36 billion. Estimated average daily trading volume, 136 to $204 billion. So that is a massive amount of liquidity to move on a chain. And I'm not going to pretend like I know all the nuances of how this is going to be built out. One thing you'll always see on this channel, I will fully admit if I don't know something or fully understand something. And to an extent, I don't need to know that granular of detail. for me to invest in this. The simple fact that they're tokenizing the New York Stock Exchange, they've already started doing it. This isn't like, hey, we have a partnership, or we had a meeting with the New York Stock Exchange. It's not speculation. It's being actively done. So again, I've been saying it for over a year now. We are moving from a speculative crypto market of what, or actually, if this technology is even going to be adopted. We had a US government that was fully against crypto. The Biden administration, Gary Gensler, Elizabeth Warren, she's the her puppet masters, the banks, were had her yiping like a freaking Yorkshire terrier about how the evils of crypto, um, and all the while the banks are pulling her strings, and she's running Gary Gensler like a freaking sock puppet, and he's going after Ripple, and he's going after stable coins, and he's going after whoever he can go after. They were fighting this tooth and nail, and all the while in the background they were stacking. And as soon as the new administration came in that was crypto friendly, they had to change their narrative. They had to start coming out and saying, oh, no, wait, Bitcoin is the future. Wait, Ethereum? Oh, yeah. No, we're building on that. We're building out the future rails, of digital currency. All the banks, all the governments, Swift, now they're coming out, where they wanted nothing to do with crypto. BlackRock, and Diamond, again, all of the different, big wigs in finance. They were all pet rock. They were throwing FUD at crypto all over the place. Now they can't buy it fast enough, and they're manipulating the markets to make sure they can buy it as cheap as possible. They're taking advantage of the emotional. The people out there that are scrambling right now to sell their crypto because they think it's going to zero. The rich, they're buying it up. Let's look at the charts. Let's go to cryptocurrencies. All right. On the hour. All right. So no major moves right now. But on the hour, looks like Caspa has pumped the most. FET MYX has done really well for quite a while. I know that thing was pumping for a minute. Pyth, Zcash, Ethereum Classic. What the? There you go. Frickin' Ondo. All right, let's go to the chat. I was on a roll there for a minute. Hold on. Yeah. Crypto bug, that liquidity is no joke. Oh, what the hell? There we go. Yeah, that liquidity is no joke. The New York Stock Exchange, when it comes to RWAs, it's undeniable. Anybody that's being adopted for RWAs, any one of the, Chainlink, Chainlink's another big one. I mean, freaking Chainlink and what they're, included in or involved in. It's, how can anybody, even with this dip, be bearish? I just don't get it. And by all means, I mean, do what you got to do. I mean, I know people are struggling out there with the cost of living. There's probably a lot of people out there that are panicking right now, and I don't mean to diminish that. I mean, trust me, I don't fault you. If you need to get out of crypto because you lost your ass today and you're scared, and again, I'm not throwing shade on you, and you are needing to pay immediate bills. Somebody told you that crypto alt season was about to happen, and I'm one of them. There's been a couple of times I've been like, hey, this feels like that we're about to get alt season. This last pullback, or I felt like that for a while, and it's like I said, I don't have a crystal ball. I can only go off of the data that I have, and all the data was if the 4-year cycle held, that alt season was coming. A couple of days ago, what would have been the peak of the alt season. I don't see, with these good solid projects with good solid fundamentals that are being adopted, that are being built on, that these mega corporations are building out the future rails for all of this liquidity to move on in this new TradFi DeFi marriage that they're starting to build. You just have to have a long-term mindset, and maybe that's the lesson here that we all need to take, myself included, is the days of this short-term get rich quick. There's opportunities out there, of course, but overall in crypto, maybe those days are coming to an end. Maybe this next, if we do get an alt season and we get this epic pump, maybe it's the last one, that we see an epic pump, because everyone's going to see the writing on the wall. And over the next, year, 2, 3, 4, it's going to become so mainstream that it's going to become more like the stock market. All the volatility is going to flatten out. If you got in, it would be like getting in on Google, back in the .coms. There's going to be that handful, that basket of crypto projects that are going to survive. And a lot of people, and this isn't inspiring or anything. I'm not the one that thought of this. Plenty of people have said this. And look, there's like 22 million different cryptos out right now. I think it is the total amount of tokens that are out there. What is it? Why am I not seeing it? Well, anyway, I looked the other day and it was like, I want to say it was like 22 million different freaking crypto tokens out. And it's just fucking ridiculous. So there might be a couple of hundred, would be my guess, that will survive. And after everything goes to after the bubble bursts. That speculation where everyone's saying, we're building this and we're going to address this pain point. We're going to solve cancer with this DeFi project, or, everyone was making claims, but we're getting to the point that we're moving from speculation to utility. All that stuff that you were saying that you were going to do, show us that you can do it. That's what we're moving into. And Chainlink is showing that their product works. ONODO is showing their product works. There's a lot of projects out there that were making claims, and some of them that I'm invested in. Kita, I'm very bullish on Kita, but they've made a lot of claims. They just went live. They have not proven much of anything yet. They did a stress test, but it's still questionable. Supposedly they did over 10 million transactions per second. But that was, them doing the stress test. I didn't see personally, and please out there, correct me if I'm wrong, any third party confirmation that they actually achieved that. You have to be realistic about you have to be the most critical about your own investments. I see it all the time, and it's why I beat up on XRP so much, is 90%, if not more, of the people out there have no clue what they're invested in. I'll ask a simple question. What's the difference between Ripple and XRP? And they don't know. But they'll start chirping off all the buzz phrases that they hear on social media. The switch is about to flip. Just all of that shit. So back to my original point. There's going to be a couple of cryptos that survive, and I'm investing in those. And the way that I'm doing it is super simple. This is not a cryptic puzzle that needs to be solved. This is simply do what the rich people are doing. If they're tokenizing the New York Stock Exchange on ONODO, I'm buying ONODO. If they are using Chainlink to, for interoperability on the SWIFT system, I'm buying Chainlink. If they're using Linea for the messaging, I don't know much about Linea and I'm not invested in Linea, but you might want to invest in Linea. Do what the rich are doing. If Warren Buffett is doing something, I'm going to do it. If Nancy Pelosi, with all of her insider trading, there's websites dedicated to it. People make a lot of money. I think it's like 20% on average per year. Just copy trading Nancy Pelosi and other politicians like Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell on the right, Nancy Pelosi on the left. It's two wings of the same corrupt government. Don't get me going. All right, let's see what the markets are doing. Let's see what the chat's doing. ADA will survive. William Martin, I would love for somebody, and I don't mean this as FUD, I would love for somebody to articulate. DZ over at Discover Crypto, one of our brother channels, is, and again, we're affiliated with them, so I'm being genuine, I'm being honest. I expect the same in return. I have not heard anything about ADA or Cardano that makes me bullish in any way whatsoever. And the reason is Charles Hodgkinson. Is that guy is holding that project back. He is so worried about decentralization. And again, it could go to the moon. I don't know. But there's no DeFi on it to speak of. There is a ton of things wrong, and he's late to the game. Like, they're trying to get into DeFi now, and they've talked about bringing some stable coins, and they're trying to play catch up now. But I just don't see, unless they really pull it out of their ass, I just don't see Cardano doing anything stellar. Not to mention that it's already, let's see where freaking Cardano's even at. Number 10. I mean, it's at number 10. Just honestly, the only thing I can think of is just, people that are just bullish on Cardano. But I've never had anybody, even DZ on Discover Crypto on the live show, 1.4 million subscribers. And I have never once, I watch almost every day, and not once, as much as he talks about it, has he ever talked about anything that would make me bullish on Cardano. I don't know. But yeah, again, maybe I just don't know. Yeah, Nick Dunn, this one definitely was a kick in the nuts. Squar in the Jimmy. Like fucking split nuts with the boot. Yes. Valhalla, perfect name. It's not spelled the same, but it sounds like Valhalla. Buy when there's blood in the streets. I'm trying, dude. Or if you're not a dude, whatever. I'm trying. All the networks are bogged the fuck down. I can't get a swap in. I can't get a trade in. In fact, let's check on my long that I managed to get in. All right. It's just hovering. You know what? I'm going to see if I can close it out at a profit. I don't even think it's going to let me freaking close this trade out. That's how congested these networks are right now. It's just sheer freaking panic. Yeah, it's not going to let me. But yeah, if I could, trust me, if I had liquidity, I have some stuff I can swap because I was even going to swap things that didn't dip as much for some things that dipped a lot more. For the potential of it moving to the upside, in a more dramatic fashion, and then I could sell some off and buy back the other one later on, if I so desired. Yeah, yeah, Linea equals Swift. Mooks ready to blow me. That I trust me. I feel you, man. I wish, and my brother Taylor, the guy's like an oracle, man. If you haven't watched the show, we're moving from Thursday. What's going to happen in the markets? Me and him are actually. Sorry, lost you there for a minute. So yeah, me and Taylor are actually starting up a little business here soon. I'm not going to say too much right now, but basically, it's going to be a newsletter and some insights because that guy. I mean, between my knowledge of DeFi and what he does with his investments, like he got out of pretty much all of crypto a couple of days ago and moved into stables. And right now he's trying to redeploy. I gave him a call and gave him a heads up of what happened, and he's in the process of redeploying all of like hundreds of thousands of dollars back into crypto now at these prices. So he's like probably gonna double or triple his money. Just if we go back to where we were at before. But we're gonna launch a newsletter, a daily newsletter, and on Mondays, we'll probably do a live show at 5 a.m. my time and 7 a.m. his time and 8 a.m. Eastern time, and basically just talk about the markets for the week, and kind of what we're seeing. But also some discounts on like Metrics Finance and DeFi University and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, stand by for that. We're actually starting to look at ways to monetize, but more so not off the channel. I really want to try to keep the channel to where it's not monetized, so that you all know and that with what we're saying when we're live, that it is genuinely how we feel, that it's not bought and paid for by some exchange or some wallet or whatever. I don't want anyone thinking that we're paid shills. We're always going to say what we see as true and honest here. But I do want to start making some money. It's like this is a lot of work, and it's actually quite expensive with all the different softwares that we use to make the show and stream the show and the AI that we use, and all the different subscriptions you need for Canva for the thumbs, and it adds up. So yeah, we're I want to find some ways to monetize it and to make the channel better. To get some help. Get some people that can do some video editing and buy some better equipment and maybe build a studio, small studio here on the property. We want to continue to give you, all of you out there, better and better content. If we can bring more knowledgeable people on, we bring some great people on, subject matter experts in their field. We got David and Jake on Wednesdays, DeFi masterminds. We got Taylor, a practicing estate lawyer that is, in my opinion, an expert in wealth preservation. Because he's a lawyer for does wills and trusts. He owns a title company, so he has his finger on the pulse of real estate. He's a crypto investor. He's a traditional finance investor. The guy has his finger on everything. So we have him on. Jeff, TradFi Jeff in Texas, Taylor's business partner. He's been a licensed financial advisor for decades. We have him on Wednesdays. We're always looking to bring people on that are going to bring value to all of you out there. And luckily, I have a network of people that are willing to come on for free. But if we can get some revenue going, then we can just bring better and better, better people on and grow the channel to the point to where we have enough eyeballs that that those high quality people want to come on for the exposure. So anyway, that's what we're trying to do here. We really want to build a quality channel and build it on integrity, because there's so little of that out there. In general, let alone in crypto. I have enough money. I'm retired. I retired at 40. I have enough money. I have everything I could need out here. Live in the middle of the woods, have a big property. I got 20 plus acres. I spend my days doing whatever the hell I want to do. I'm living the dream. If I make some extra money, awesome. But I can do that on my own. I don't need this channel for that. So again, the channel, we're trying to keep the monetization down to a minimum. But for the most part, we're just here to try to help you all navigate this stuff today. All right. Enough of that. It's great to see you aren't biased on Cardano just because of your associates. I'm not biased even on my own portfolio. I'll call out bullshit wherever I see bullshit. In fact, let's do it right now. Let's see what I can talk shit on in my own portfolio. All right, Casper. There we go, Casper. I have a huge bag of Casper. Full disclosure, I have sold some of it off to deleverage a bit. Because, but look, it barely moved, relative to, everything else today. Casper has been bottomed out hard for a while. It already has gone through quite a bit. Their old CEO left with a major partnership. So IBM had a partnership with Casper Network to basically put their AI on chain. And this was months and months and months ago. Might have even been a year ago. But just one day, all of a sudden, the CEO and Casper Labs was like, we're leaving. We're going to HBAR, and we're taking the IBM partnership with us. And freaking Casper dumped. And I held on. I don't do emotional trades. I held on because the fundamentals hadn't changed to an extent that I was willing to, fully exit my position. Casper Association, a separate entity, stepped up, and the CTO that Michael, that is in charge of the development for the Casper network, basically went apeshit crazy on social media to let people know, like, hey, we're still up, we're still running, we're still building. Here comes Casper 2.0. Here comes this, here comes this. They were launching all kinds of new products. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And, but I was a little heavy into Casper. It was my largest holding. And it is a degen play. It's further down the ladder as far as market cap. There's other projects out there. I really Casper team. I really see like that they're constantly at work. They're constantly, no matter what the price does, they're constantly building. They're constantly coming up with new partnerships. That's what I want to see in crypto, in this, as we're transitioning from this speculation or a speculative market to a utility market. This is the kind of thing I want to see in the projects I'm invested in. But Casper, again, they took a huge dump. And you have to be able to emotionally detach yourself enough to say, all right, has the fundamentals, the tokenomics, the team, the partnerships, the investors, the real meat and potatoes of your investment, has that changed? And if it has, to an extent that you're no longer confident in that project, then maybe it's time to deleverage a bit, to sell a bit of it, and move that liquidity into something else. But make sure it is based on fundamentals, not emotion. Emotion will wreck you. Emotion is what big money uses to manipulate you. It's what people in your daily life do to manipulate you. If you want to get to the next level as just a human, master your emotions. If somebody says something to you that's hurtful, be able to just, you know what? Cool. Take a step back. Mull it over. You don't have to take action. You don't have to validate it by getting upset about it or by, reacting to it. You need to be stoic. Whenever these markets tank, stoic. Like I am right now. The only thing I'm not stoic about is the fact that I can't buy anything or swap for anything because everything is freaking clogged up. But I managed to buy some ETH. I managed, you know, uh, but learn to master yourself before you can hope to master your life in general or your finances or anything, your relationships, your personal relationships, emotions. It keeps you from saying hurtful things to the people that are close to you and the people that you love. Having that knee-jerk reaction. You want to stay away from that. The knee-jerk reaction when it comes to crypto and investing. Markets dumping. Don't knee-jerk react and sell. Because when the markets go back up, you're going to kick yourself. And if you're still emotional, you might try to buy back in. And then when they pull back again, you might sell. And you're just going to get whittled. If you're just sitting there and you're selling it when it's low and buying when it's high, they're just sucking your liquidity out of you. And you're just feeding the beast. Don't do it. Either don't get into investing or master your damn emotions. ETH is crapping even further, huh? All right, let's take a look at that. Sorry, I'm getting on a soapbox a little bit. I really want to drive the point home that this is not something to freak out about. You know what? I'm going to finish the bottle off. 38.27. That's about what I was looking at it before. Let's go to the hourly. Where are we at here? Damn it. So we went from about 4,500 down. Looks like we wicked down to about 3,400. So about $1,000 wick down. We're still cruising down, but I think it's going to find a floor. Me personally, don't invest off that, but I think it's going to find a floor. This weekend's going to be interesting. This weekend is going to be very telling. in this low, low volatility, or not low volatility, excuse me, low volume. Weekends are always low volume. A lot easier to manipulate the markets on the weekend. And I wonder if this massive churn to the downside is a catalyst for something bigger. I see a lot of different things that could play out over this weekend. And again, I am not an expert. I am totally just throwing out, conspiracy theories. Dump before the weekend, wait for Saturday or Sunday. Depending on, other people selling, finding a bottom, maybe if it goes down to like 34, whoever sucked this $8.5 billion of liquidity out of the market injects it back in and pumps everything. And you just see this parabolic pump. And something happens to where everyone thinks that here it is, here's alt season. People start, and the stars align on the macro with, maybe Trump comes out and fucking reduces tariffs. Who knows? If the stars align and somebody potentially uses this weekend to basically start alt season, who knows? Anyway, a potential conspiracy theory. Let's see. Jay-Z, what up, man? Bought XRP at $1.37 at 20% on a long. You know what? You're probably going to make money. Don't get me wrong. There's money to be made on XRP. It's not going to $100. It's not going to $1,000. It's just not. $6, $8 if we get an alt season, possible, absolutely. You can make money with XRP. I made money with XRP. My average buy price was 42 cents. I had 40,000 XRP, and I sold at just over $2. Along with my H bar and my XLM and all the other ISO tokens, because that's where my focus was at the time. All through the bear market, with the Biden administration, I was betting on that if somebody else got into office that was bullish, like Trump is, some needs to be updated. I mean, anybody knows that. And so that was my bet. And so that's where my focus, my investments were. But on that initial pump, when all of those tokens pumped, I believe it was, when was that? Like November? I think it was like November of last year. I sold all of them. And that's when I got into DeFi, October, November, around that time frame. And that's when I started, getting into Aerodrome, and I started getting into all the different DeFi plays and RWA plays, because I see a lot more potential there. And again, I've talked about XRP enough, so I won't go down that road. But yeah, plenty of money to be made there. Plume, Bricken, Credit RWA partnership synergies. If you could, please expound on that, because I would be interested in any alpha on Plume, because I am still very bullish on Plume. If I was to sell all of my crypto, and only kept the one that I thought was long term, that was going to make me the most money, it would be Plume. Absolutely. Yeah, honestly, that's the only thing that made me panic, was that I couldn't buy. I was trying so hard with every bit of liquidity that I had to buy when everything wicked down, and just nothing would go through. It was like just such a kick in the nuts. Jay-Z, I will probably have tons of questions in the near future. Just opened my first positions on Arrow this week on Aerodrome. Jay-Z, be careful. Right now, unless they're full range positions, be really careful on range positions. There's a lot of volatility going on right now that's going to kick you out of range. So unless you have super wide ranges or full range pools, or if you're in lending or staking, that's pretty much the only places I would be right now. Me personally, most of my positions, I'm out and in spot. I'm just hodling right now and just weathering this storm. I batten down the hatches, and it's again because when everything tanked, any liquidity pools that you were in, you're all in on, like, especially in a crypto stable pair. Like say you were in KTA USDC, and with this tank, with everything tanking, you're all in KTA. And if you close out that position, you have more KTA than you went in with. So like if you used your KTA on BFAT to enter into a position, a USDC KTA position, and you went out on the bottom end, you are all in, all of that liquidity is now in KTA. And if you exit that position, you are now hodling. I mean, technically, if you're in the position, you're still hodling. But you can exit that position and lock in more KTA than you started with. So if KTA rebounds and pumps later on, you have more you DCA'd into more KTA. You pumped your bag or stacked your bag of KTA, if that makes sense. So like if you entered in with 400, you might have like 450 now, depending on what your range was. You might have 475, you might have 500, but you have more KTA. You can keep that position open, and as it goes back up, when it comes back into range, you'll start earning yield again. But now might be a good time to just exit the position, get full price appreciation on the way back up, and then when things stabilize, get back into liquidity pools, because then you're going to have a range for a ranged pool, and you can enter back into a full range pool and not miss out on price pumps. I see a lot of volatility ahead. Just my 2 cents. Yes, emotions almost always equal bad. In my experience in the military and personal relationships and investing, usually emotions are your worst enemy. They cloud judgment. I'll put it that way. Absolutely, Stan. This is a great training exercise. Jean Pierre, I live in Asia. I wake up and see that bloodbath first reaction. Get some SUI. Absolutely, brother. Now is the time to buy. If I had, and I'm always transparent. I'm never going to pretend like I have millions unless I have millions. Um, I'm not going to pretend like I have, a couple $100,000 in crypto. Right now, what I have in crypto, what do I There we go. Sorry. I'm on Starlink. If you're new to the channel, I'm on Starlink and live out in the middle of nowhere in the woods. So every once in a while, I might pop out for a minute. They actually are installing fiber. So I might get on fiber. If I get on fiber, won't have to deal with the outages anymore. But currently, I am at $43,254.50. Full disclosure, like I said, I don't hide anything on this channel. I am not going to pretend like I'm some crypto millionaire and I'm putting in massive trades or I'm some DeFi guru. This channel, whenever I'm on it, is my journey through crypto and my journey through DeFi. I have David and Jake on Wednesdays that have made crypto a lot longer than me. I'm just an old retired, military vet that is learning about crypto, learning about DeFi, and hopefully helping some of you out there avoid the mistakes that I made when I first got into DeFi and crypto. So I'm entry level, I would say. I've made some really good calls, but again, I'm not, some oracle or some guru. And please don't ever, think that I am. Um, I'm just going to tell you what I see. And I'll tell you that because of DeFi, my portfolio is still at that level. If I was hodling, I'd be probably down in the teens or the 20s, 20K range right now. But because of DeFi and earning like I have, over the past year, I'm up, I'm still at, probably what I initially put in. I I initially put in about $40,000-$50,000 is what I put in. And since I started DeFi, I haven't put, for the most part, $100 here, $100 there. But for the most part, I haven't put any of my own money in. I've told myself that the 50 grand I put in, I want to 10x that. And I want to have, and that 50,000 can't get me there. This isn't for me. And I'm just being real right now. It's just that is where my head's at. Is if I can't churn 50 grand and 10x it in crypto, in DeFi into the 500K that I want, or even 300K. I mean, I'll fall short and cool, awesome, great. 50K into 300K all day long. But I'm going to make it work. I'm not just going to keep funneling money into it, hoping that it's going to, get to a couple $100,000. It's going to have to put in the work. So I cut myself off and I said, this is what the capital that I'm going to work with. This is the liquidity I'm going to work with. And we'll see what happens. But so far, so good. And I know that, it might not seem good, with today's drawdown, but, I mean, I've at the pump back in, what was it, November, December of last year, I was over $100,000 on my 50,000. And, now I'm at about 43, 44,000. So even with all these drawdowns, even with as nasty as alts have been, because I'm not in Bitcoin, I'm not in ETH, I'm not in, for the most part, other than Chainlink, any like blue chips or, I'm in degen alts. I'm looking to 10x, an average on my portfolio of 10x. I'm not going to get that in, a lot of the blue chips and stuff like that. And so I'm in degen plays. Are some of them going to not do anything or go to zero? Probably. But I'm hoping that some of the other ones, like Plume, Aerodrome, hopefully Casper, you got Chainlink, KTA. I'm hoping some of those I'm hoping some of those make up for the ones that don't pump, that don't go anywhere, that go to zero. That is the best you can hope for in crypto. And you can mitigate the risk by being knowledgeable about what you're investing in. And that's what I share on this channel is, my knowledge on Plume, my knowledge on Aerodrome, my knowledge on Ondo, on Casper, on Chainlink, on Kita, on Mammo. All of these things that we talk about on this channel is we are just sharing our knowledge. What you do with that knowledge is up to you. You can invest in it, you can not. if I can see something and you all can look at the same thing and see something different, it doesn't mean that you're wrong and I'm right. It doesn't mean that you're right and I'm wrong. It just means that we're seeing different things. And if you can eliminate emotion out of that and you can just decide what makes a successful project to you, is a strong team important? Is strong tokenomics important? Is strong partnerships important? Is strong investors important? The checklist that I use are those things that I just listed, along with some other things. But you need to ensure that the decisions you're making are logic-based decisions, data-based decisions, not emotion-based decisions. I can't stress this enough. In the military, in combat, and the other things that I've done in the military, I have never seen anything good come from an emotional decision. When somebody's freaking out, they never make good decisions. It's usually the calm, collected individual that has been through this before that has the sage advice that is going to tell you how to navigate that situation with the best possible outcome. Not a guaranteed outcome, but the best possible outcome. Same thing with investing. You need to find people that are calm and collected in chaotic times like this, that are going to calm you down, that are going to give you that good sage advice of, you know what, maybe the best thing to do right now is to not do anything. Maybe it's just sit on your hands, go for a walk, play a video game, hug your kids, whatever that is going to ground you and that is going to get you out of that headspace, that panic, that fight or flight headspace that big money wants you in, so that you sell on the dip so that it dips further so they can buy at a better price for when they're going to make it go back up. This isn't rocket science. And I'm not promising that you're going to get rich off watching this channel. I am promising you that you will make better decisions, more educated decisions, and more stoic decisions, because that's the way I operate. All right, let's go back to the chat. The shed has weak Wi-Fi. Yeah, this isn't a shed. I wish I could show it. Actually, I did an episode. It's what got me started in doing live streams. My first episode on my old channel, Bullshit and Bourbon, I did a whole episode on my experience when I retired from the military. I sold everything. I had rental properties. I had a 5,000 square foot house. I had a wakeboard boat. I had all of it. I sold everything, moved out to the middle of nowhere. I bought 20 acres and I lived in a dome tent and built my cabin, myself. I didn't hire somebody. I woke up in the morning and started swinging a hammer and, using freaking, air tools. And I built my cabin. This is all built by me. And trust me, it's not a shed. But yeah, it's a fucking very, very humbling and rewarding experience. I'll put it that way. If we're down tomorrow, I'll be buying again. Absolutely. So should I take the impermanent loss? I was just going to hold it till it goes back up. I'm not quite out of range yet. If you're not out of range yet, I would hold it. And with questions like this, I mean, if you want, Jay-Z, Metrics Finance, it's a little bit spendy, but there's a link in the description. If you want to try Metrics Finance, there's a free version that has some functionality, but the elite version actually has an AI built into it to where you can take a screenshot of the pool that you're in and you can ask it if you should rebalance, if you should exit or whatever. And it gives some pretty good advice. Me personally, I would need to know what assets are in the pool and what yield you're earning. I would need some details before I'd be willing to give my advice on that. If you were out of range, um, then I would want to know what assets they were. Just to have a better idea. You know what's crazy is with this big giant dip today, AOX didn't go down at all. Let's take a look. Oh shit. Well, I mean it's at 0.00002 cents. Like, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean it not to, not trying to throw FUD on the project. I mean, it might be an awesome project, but I mean it's been pretty much trending sideways for quite some time. Yeah, it's been beat down pretty hard for quite some time. Same thing, and like I said, I'm not throwing FUD. Same thing with Casper. It's a project I'm very bullish on, but you look at the Casper chart, it's the exact same thing. Look at that. Casper when it launched, it was up around 60 cents, and it crashed down, and it was around 15 cents, for quite a while, and then it crashed down when I told you that Casper Labs and the old CEO left. It crashed down, and it's pretty much been trending sideways, at around 1 cent for fucking forever. I mean, it's painful watching it. But again, you look at the day, it dipped down, but it came back up. So, yeah, I mean, price hasn't changed a whole lot on it because it's beat the hell down. There's only if something's laying on the floor, you can keep punching it and it's not going anywhere. It's already down there. You know what I mean? If you take a project that's standing up and hit it on its fucking on off switch, then it has a distance to fall. Projects like A0X and Casper, they're already down there. They're already on the mat. There's no, you can't go down any further unless they go to zero. Everybody that's going to sell that project has already sold. It's so. I mean, that's not a sign of strength. That's a sign of it's beat the hell down. Could it be a good buy opportunity? Absolutely. I mean, but you're buying it about the same price as you could have bought for quite some time. So yeah, don't get too stuck on any project. Just simply because the price is stable. There's a lot more to it than it had a stable price. It's just everybody's how many people are holding that asset. That's the question you need to look at. How much how many people just bought a little bit and just forgot about it. It's those are the things you need to look at. Price stability isn't a perfect indicator. All right. We got any other questions? I might bring this to a close. I need to get me some dinner. I just kind of wanted to give a little bit. I've been giving my closing thoughts. We'll end on that. So the reason I wanted to do this stream is mostly just to let you all know, because I know how it is. You're sitting out there, you see these markets tank, those emotions start to kick in. It happens to the best of us. Don't feel bad. But the emotions start to kick in, and you start to wonder: did I make a mistake? Did I make a bad decision getting into crypto? Getting into investing? Do I need to get this money out while I still have some money to get out? You start asking yourself those questions, and they're legitimate questions. Again, don't beat yourself up. They're legitimate questions. Did especially if you got a family, you got a wife, you got kids, you got a husband, whatever. You need to ask yourself these questions. And maybe it's if for some of you, maybe it's a lesson that, if these prices rebound a bit, maybe you need to deleverage a little bit of that liquidity. Get back out, at your entry points, and have a little something on the side. That it's going to make you a little less emotional if the markets pull back again. And potentially give you some dry powder that you can DCA in on these opportunities. But my point is, for this stream, master your emotions. Do not allow yourself to be manipulated in any part of your life, in personal relationships, in business, in investing, in anything. Do not allow yourself to be manipulated, because people are going to use that to take advantage of you in all aspects of your life. Be a master of your emotions, and you will be a master of your financial future. So with that, I appreciate you all coming and hanging with me. And definitely appreciate all the comments in the chat, all the questions. But till next time, stay strong. Veteran Crypto out.